Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is WireDogSec back with another video for you guys. Hopefully you're all having a good day. Before we dive into this article, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and then comment below on your thoughts and opinions on the article, the video, the information shared, etc., etc. You guys know how it goes. Anyway, let's get into it here. Article from Data Breach today. Optus under $1 million extortion threat and data breach. Also, Optus attacker says unauthenticated API endpoint led to breach. Australia's second largest telecommunications company is facing a US $1 million extortion demand to prevent the sale of what an attacker says are up to 11.2 million sensitive customer records. Wow, that is a lot of customer records. And most likely it probably contains some form of PII, first name, last name, maybe probably telephone number, email address, maybe even physical address, stuff like that. The data breach, which ranks as one of the country's largest ever, is under investigation by the Australian Federal Police. Optus, which is a subsidiary of the Singaporean telecommunications conglomerate Centel Group, detected it on September 14th. Okay. Early Saturday, a person going by nickname Optus Data published two samples of the um, purported stolen data on a well-known data leak forum. The attacker writes that Optus can prevent the sale of the data to other cybercriminals if it pays $1 million in the Monero cryptocurrency. Right, it's pretty typical. As soon as they get the data, they try to sell it on some kind of data leak website on the dark web somewhere. And from what I know about Monero cryptocurrency, I believe it's mainly focused on like privacy, remaining anonymous, stuff like that. So I think it's either not traceable or it's very hard to trace that money wherever it goes. As you see there, they have a little screenshot of the cyber criminal that's posting this data on the website. So Optus Data writes that Optus has 1 week to pay, otherwise the data will be available for sale in parcels. Two samples of data, 100 records, data fields such as, okay, here we go. Data fields such as name, email address, physical address, passport number, driver's license number, birth date, whether a person owns their home or not, and more. The data covers current and former Optus customers. An Optus spokesperson said on Saturday, "We are investigating the legitimacy of this data." All right, that's quite a lot of sensitive information there. I mean, you could use that information to carry out all kinds of identity theft, any kind of other fraudulent activity. So if this data is in fact legitimate, then they have a dumpster fire on their hands. I mean, that's a lot of customer records, not even current. I mean, not even just current customers. Apparently, it has old customers. So I wonder how far back this data information goes. See, leaked data appears legitimate. ISMG found strong signs that the data likely originated with Optus. One way to figure it out, breach came from an organization that claimed to have come from is to enter the email address and have I been pwned. I've talked about I have I been pwned before. You can go in there, enter your phone number, email address, something like that, and then it'll come back. It'll search the database and it'll come back and say, hey, yeah, we found this phone number or we found this email address in our database of stolen information or information obtained from data leak sites, and it'll give you like a rundown of where the information came from, what data breach it came from, stuff like that. Anyway, let's get back to it here. People can sign up and be altered or alerted if their email address appears in a new breach. An email address can be entered in HIBP to see if it has been in a past breach. So you tested 23 email address, but 6 had not. Okay. Let's see, and it goes over what some of the example email addresses look like. Those do not appear to be HIBP, suggesting that's the first time those have been breached. Okay. Looking at one of the sample data sets, this reporter recognized a local street address. This reporter went to the residence on Saturday morning, found the woman whose data was exposed. She was working in her yard. When handed a printout of the data, she confirmed it belonged to her. She was an Optus customer until around 2018. Optus has said it believes the leaked data may date back to 2017. Wow, that is a long time. Well, at least this information checked out. I mean, they went and asked the individual if this is her information, and she had verified it. So it's looking pretty legitimate so far. But let's see how it occurred. Breach source unauthenticated API. All right, this is a report from ABC on Friday. It said a senior figure inside Optus said that an API for Optus customer identity database was open to a test network happened to have internet access. And the lesson learned from there, don't allow internet access to your test environment or your dev environment, right? Unless it's like absolutely necessary for some strange reason. But usually the test environments or dev environments don't have access to the internet. So this is a lesson learned right here. You can see what kinds of chaos can ensue if those controls and defenses aren't in place. See, APIs are software interfaces that allow systems to exchange data, but they could pose risk of data breaches if exposed directly to the internet. Optus declined to comment on the explanation and disputed that human error may have played a role. Sounds like they're still investigating this. I mean, from what I'm reading here. C reached out to Optus data samples and asked how data was stolen, confirmed that data was exfiltrated from an unauthenticated API. To put it another way, the API did not require any login in order to access its functionality. Optus wrote in the message, no authenticated needed. This is bad access control, all open to internet for anyone to use, right? I believe this is part of the OWASP top 10, which goes over the top 10 vulnerabilities when it comes to web apps and stuff like that. And this brings to the point that you should be doing some kind of external scanning of your perimeter to see what's out there in your environment. What do you have exposed to the internet? So you can see it before the bad guys get to it and exploit it. And then next thing you know, you got some kind of cyber security incident on your hands. A little screenshot of the attacker stuff. Let's see, API is pointed to that website there. Audio URL, but Optus data says it worked to exfiltrate the data because otherwise a DNS error occurred. The API is now offline and there's no more risk for Optus. The API was used in part to let Optus customers access their own data. Okay. Past anonymous source person says hosted on Google Cloud, Apogee, blah, blah, blah. Let's see, notifying customers. Optus is the process of notifying those affected. Not all of those affected had the same amount of data exposed. Optus said on Friday it will offer expert third-party monitoring services for those at heightened risk. It has also warned customers to be wary of potential fraudulent emails and text messages, right? And that's typical when these breaches such as these happen. They'll offer some kind of monitoring service that monitors your, credits or monitors some kind of identification linked to you, linked to the victims, etc. And like I said before, the attackers will try to use that stolen information to conduct some type of fraudulent activity, some type of identity theft activity, or even use it to make their phishing attacks more efficient. I mean, if they have real information from that, you can try to use that information to modify their phishing emails or, you know, um, malicious text messages and such, try to target people, maybe even try to extort people. Say, hey, we got this amount of information on you, and we're going to do this and that unless you pay us up or pay us money or whatever. Let's see. Optus will face a range regulatory inquiries about its data handling practices, including from the Office of Australian Information Commissioner, which is the country's data protection agency. Okay, Guardian, blah, 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 urgent meeting. Separate story in Guardian reported that 2020, Optus argued against giving consumers stronger rights over control over their data during a federal review of the company's Privacy Act. Optus opposed giving customers the right to erase the personal information, citing significant technical hurdles, it reported. The company also opposed greater consumer power to take legal action against companies over data breaches to publication. Wow. So basically, they're saying that we're not going to allow you to erase your own data because it's too hard on our end to um, make that applicable in our environment, which is a bullcrap answer, bullcrap response to their consumers. And this right here kind of goes back to all these privacy regulations going out there. The what's it called, the GDPR that's over there for the EU and such. That's why that stuff like that's in place because you have incidents or data breaches like this that happen, and the company's got all kinds of sensitive information on people, all kinds of personal information, and they may not even need it, and they're collecting all this information that they probably don't need, but they're collecting it anyways, kind of like a just in case we need it or something like that. And those privacy laws are out there to protect consumers in the event that a data breach occurs. Hopefully they get this situated and we'll see how this unfolds. It sounds like this is going to be a pretty big story going forward. Probably see more and more reports on this. I'll have the link to this article and then the initial article in the description section of this video. If you enjoyed this video, if you got any type of information from this video, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment below on your thoughts and opinions on the article and the video. And I will be back with another video shortly. Thank you. Have a good day.